So good afternoon and welcome to this usual board press conference. The DG will be happy to take your questions, so we start with questions, if there are any. No questions?
François. François Murphy from Reuters. Hi, DG.
Hi. Hello. Hello.
Hi. On Iran, you said you hope for a meeting with Iran or with the Iranian president in the not too distant future. Can you give us some sense of what you mean by that? Does that stretch as far as the US election in November, or are you...
No, hopefully before that. Yeah.
Okay.
Before that.
And could you give us maybe a description? Obviously, your reports cover the developments that there have been in Iran's enrichment program, but we don't get a clear sense of sort of like how they've evolved within the quarter. It seems that at least at Fordo, there was a quick rush to install a lot of cascades of centrifuges, and things might have slowed down a bit after that. I mean, how would you describe what's happened on the enrichment front in Iran in the past 3 months?
Yes, it's a good point, because after the June board, they made a number of announcements in response, in a certain sense, to what had been done here. And what we see is that there is some work, but nothing that indicates a rush to a fast implementation of a big increase in terms of enrichment production. This is a very, I would say, very generic assessment, I would concede, but it's what we see. There has been, as you said, some cascade fitting, but then the work continues, but we don't see something that is moving quite fast. That's the general.
Thank you. Jonathan.
Hi, DG. Jonathan Tyrone, Bloomberg. I have two questions, one on safeguards and one on safety.
Please do.
The safeguards question is about Iran, and many board members consider it basically the JCPOA a hostage to the political dynamic of the U.S. election. I know that you're a technical organization, so my question is, between January 22nd, when the new president is inaugurated, and October 18th, when UNSC 2231 terminates at the Security Council, there are 270 days. In those 270 days, is it conceivable that you could check off all of the outstanding issues at Iran, or are you working on a different timeline?
I would say one of my concerns, and this is why I'm insisting on still at this period where some believe that we have like a parenthesis where nothing substantive could be done, I still insist in my conversations with my Iranian counterparts that we can do some useful work in preparation for some discussions at that kind of level. It would be challenging to do all we need to do in how many you said? 170?
270.
270. Well, that's an additional 100, not bad. But I would agree that it would be a lot of work to do. I think it would be important, even if we don't complete all that work, to have a serious process ongoing where we are getting results, and that requires less than 270.
Okay, thank you. And then on my safety question,
yes.
How do your monitoring missions in Ukraine potentially intersect with the Vienna Convention on Civil Liability and/or the Supplementary Convention for Nuclear Damages?
Well, I would say that there could be, the intersection could be very complicated in case something, God forbid, would happen. Because in case, and this is very speculative, Jonathan, you would agree, in case something happened at the ZNPP, there would be issues of ownership and legal debates about ownership. We know, and in accordance with the UN and the General Conference and Board resolutions for the IAEA, this is a Ukrainian facility, but of course there is another operator that has a different view on that. So I could foresee, if that were happen, then we would have a very prolonged and most probably very difficult to solve legal debate.
But there's one follow-up very briefly, sorry, because the provision that I note is that there has to be a proven direct, if the incident is directly due to an act of armed conflict, then the provisions of the convention do not kick in. But of course, your monitors are there. So what gives you the confidence that in the event of nuclear damage, your monitors will be able to distinguish between an armed attack and operator negligence?
We would be able to do that.
But you haven't been able to do that now, after 2 years.
No, we have. The only thing where there is an expectation which is unfulfilled by some, or for some, rather, is that we point fingers and we said, red card to Ukraine or yellow card to Russia. And this is something which I explained already at length. I think the experts there would be in a position to say very, very clearly whether an event is directly origined by an external cause or by an internal process which is not functioning in accordance with the safety standards.
Thank you.
Vasil Korotkий, Ukrainian news agency Ukrinform.
Hello.
Grossi, during one of the most recent missile strikes on Ukraine, Russia hit vital electrical substations which are essential for the safety of its nuclear power plants. Have you discussed this issue with the Russian officials, maybe during your visit to Kaliningrad? And have you warned the Russian side not to make further attacks on these important power substations?
Well, I would say in general terms and in more specific terms. In general terms, you may have seen my press doorstep in Kurchatov, where I said to everybody that nuclear power plants in any way cannot be considered military targets, and they are not legitimate military targets. I said it again in Kaliningrad, which is part of the Russian Federation, and I said it again in Kiev. So for me, there is really no ambiguity about that. When it comes to particular missile strikes here or there, it depends on where this is, how it happened, and so on. You may have heard that we are now working on looking more closely as a result of my recent visit to Kiev and my conversations with President Zelensky. We are working more closely on the subcritical substations, which are critical, substations which are critical to the external power supply of the three operating nuclear power plants.
Question over there in the back.
Yes, sir.
It's Austrian television ORF. Sir, in your assessment, what are the gravest risks that the power stations in Kursk or Zaporizhzhia are facing right now, and what, in your view, is the role the IAEA could play?
Well, the role of the IAEA is to try to ensure that the safety and the security of any nuclear power plant in the world is not compromised. These cases are different, and I think we should be clear that Zaporizhzhia and Kursk are different cases. The common denominator, hence our presence there or our work there, is that there could be an issue of nuclear safety and security which could be compromised. In the case of Zaporizhzhia, well, you've been following this for 2 years and a half. It's a nuclear power plant which is very close to the combat zone. It's a nuclear power plant which has been shelled. It's a nuclear power plant who has had 8 complete blackouts, and it's a power plant whose one of the cooling towers has been burned. Not down yet, but it's completely burned inside. You may have seen the footage and myself inside. So there has been a lot in terms of the physical integrity of this facility. In the case of Kursk, it's different. It's an normally operating plant in the Russian Federation, which has become close, or military action or incursion has come closer to it. I was also shown, as I said last week, when I was visiting the week before, when I was visiting Kursk, I was also shown some indications of impact projectiles that may have impact Kursk. So the two cases are relevant. This is why we are involved. In the case of Zaporizhzhia, is a deeper involvement, is a permanent involvement, is an involvement that includes assistance and support. And in the other case, it has been an observation of a situation that seemed to be going a little bit out of hand. We are monitoring that. We're seeing what may happen. So we will be you will be seized with the situation, and in case something happens, we hope not, we will try to contribute.
Thank you. DPA.
Hello, Albert Otti, DPA, German Press Agency. Director General, I have a follow-up to Francois' question. Do you hope or do you plan to meet the Iranian president during the General Assembly? Not General Assembly, in New York, I mean.
No, that's not the idea.
That's not the idea, okay.
No.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
Just briefly on the Iran subject again, EU Commissioner Borrell was meeting with Mr. Arachi. How much are you involved in a subsidiary level?
We exchange information. Of course, the EU colleagues are very close to us, and we are always comparing notes. Although our processes at this point are quite different. There is no process going on at the level of the former partnership that used to exist, which is very improbable to be reconstructed, at least in the way that it happened in the past. In our case, what we are trying to do, as I was mentioning in your previous question, we are trying to preserve the basic conditions in terms of information and visibility to facilitate the move for further diplomacy. Would that be the case, which we all hope,
François.
Yes, sorry, just to make sure of something. The idea of a comprehensive report was mentioned in the last resolution on Iran, saying that may be necessary. What would it take to trigger a comprehensive report? Would it take another resolution calling for one, or would you take it upon yourself to produce?
Frankly, I'm not planning for that. I think we are. We take note of everything that was indicated in that resolution. We are, in real terms, providing this, and we did have a comprehensive assessment on the different locations in one of my past reports. My approach is to try to solve issues now and not to have a perspective of a somehow punitive action at some point in the future. My idea is to try to make the cooperation work now and to take steps so that we can have some clarity, which is badly needed. So we will see. I think the next few months we'll have a number of events that will allow us all to see more clear.
Question here.
Hi, maybe last question regarding of Iran. As you know, the Arakchi is the new foreign minister of Iran. You know the Arakchi. You worked with him before. Is it a positive sign, the outstanding issues between Iran and the agency to get better way to solve or a good answer to find it together? What do you think about it?
Well, of course, the cabinet and the government of Iran is the government that the Iranians decide. It is, of course, for me, excellent to see someone like him with whom I worked in the past, somebody who is very familiar with every detail of the program and what has been done. So I really look forward to meet with him soonest.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much. Have a nice afternoon. Bye-bye.